Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. This is where truth matters. You can also find us on television channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. Oh, don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. And if you would like to send an email, you would like for me to do some research for you, particularly any product or subject, that really doesn't matter. You can send an email to donna@donnasedge.com. donna@donnasedge.com. I love doing research for you. I just enjoy it. I get so much fun out of it. Not only are you learning something, but I am as well. So I had Matthew who sent a message to me about water. And he said, I'm not really, looking for the grid or anything like that to go down. He said, but I just wonder, how long should you store water before it becomes unsafe to drink? Now, one thing that I kind of wonder about is sometimes when you go to a service station, you can see where they've left bottles of water outside, and sometimes it's in the really, really hot sun. And I don't know how long, if they just set it out there, did a shipment just come in? I mean, what happened? And so it's just kind of, I don't buy it. I would rather just go inside the store. Of course, then again, you don't know how long it's set outside. But I like to go ahead and buy my bottled water, where I know it hasn't possibly been sitting outside. So I have some information for you right here. And so there's a book I purchased, and I'm going to give you some more information about that as well. And it's called No Grid Survival Projects. And so this is how much emergency water should you store for long-term use. And I thought it was really interesting. So one time I got hepatitis. And so we couldn't tell if it was because I had drank some water that had been sitting out for a couple of days, or if it was from taking the birth control pill. I don't know why, but I got hepatitis, thought I was going to die from it. And so the doctor felt like it could have possibly been water that I had set out. So it can contaminate. And it also depends on, summertime, humidity, and all of those things happening. So let's just kind of do a little bit of research together on this. So having a safe, reliable water supply is essential for survival. If something were to happen, say, to our water, we all have water, that we call it public water, or whatever you might want to call it, especially if there's an emergency situation. That can happen if a tornado comes through. I know some communities that have been without water for quite a while, and the Cowboy Church is really good at, going out wherever an area is. In Kentucky, a couple of years ago, had a situation with flooding. They couldn't drink their water. So the Cowboy Church actually went up there, the one we went to, went up there and cooked food, and also a lot of us supplied drinking water for them as well. So we just got all of the bottled water we could come up with and send it out there. So we know that things can happen. So knowing how to store your water for long-term use can also help you ensure that your family has access to clean drinking water for days, weeks, even months. But one question often arises when it comes to drinking water, and that's how long can you store it, and when does it become unsafe to drink? So let's just go ahead and jump on there. Okay, the rule of thumb is that you should store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for 3 days. So if there are 3 people in your household, you should aim to store 9 gallons of water. If possible, you should try to have a 2-week supply on hand, and this will provide enough drinking and sanitation water for a longer-term emergency situation. It's also important to consider that certain members of your household, like pregnant women, those who are ill or disabled, those living in hot climates, may require more than 1 gallon per day. Therefore, it must be wise to plan for an additional supply above the minimum recommendation. So when storing bottled water purchased from the store, be sure to observe the expiration date listed on each container. Now, you need to treat this like a business, okay? So, in grocery stores, what they do is anything that's about to or getting closer to expiration date, they put that out first, okay, out on the shelf first, and then they put the ones with the longest expiration. That's just the way it's done. They'll put that in the back of the counter. Okay, so you need to do the same thing. So let's say you have some water that you started storing, say in the year 2020. You might want to go ahead and get that out and start using it, even if you use it for washing clothes or whatever with. So you need to constantly be rotating that water. If you have a situation where maybe you have a storm pit in case of a tornado or something like that. We always tell you to make sure you keep the storm pit supplied with water, some kind of food. Make sure that doesn't go old as well. Blankets, anything to use in a situation where maybe your house gets plowed down from a tornado or maybe a hurricane. At least you would have that storm shelter with some essentials in there. So it's always wise to go on ahead also and rotate that water out. Maybe you forgot and left some in there from 2 or 3 years ago. Get it out of there. No. The neat thing about being in a cellar kind of like that is it's not going to necessarily get old from sitting out in the sun. However, water does have an expiration date on it. So just make sure you keep dire attention to that, okay? So non-store-bought options such as water collected from rain or snow runoff should be replaced every 6 months due to potential contamination from outside sources such as wildlife or just plain old air pollution. That can happen as well. So, this is a burning hot question right here. Several of you have asked this question. How long can water be stored in plastic jugs or plastic containers, period? Now, I've been storing water, and I've been storing it in glass, okay, in jars. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But how long can water be stored in plastic jugs? Okay, water from your tap that is clean enough to drink can last up to 6 months or sometimes even longer when stored in a sealed container. However, it's important to check on your stored water every month just to ensure that it's safe. Now, how long can you store water in a 55-gallon drum? I'm going to do that. I'm going to start collecting rainwater, and I'm going to use that for gardening purposes. And I don't know, it's just better anyway, not out of the tap. Okay, so a food grade, it's got to be food grade, okay? 55-gallon drum can safely store water up to 1 year or even longer under the right circumstances. So storing water in a 55-gallon drum, there are certain requirements that must be followed in order to ensure the safety of your stored water. Now start by selecting a clean, unused food grade drum. Again, just double check, make sure it's food grade, okay? Now, once you've found your clean drum, make sure it's tightly sealed so it does not let any light in or maybe chemicals from the environment or bugs or whatever. Just make sure it's sealed. Another thing to keep in mind when storing water in a 55-gallon drum is treatment options. Now, regularly treating your stored water with the correct amount of household chlorine bleach can help preserve its quality and taste over time and extend its shelf life big time, okay? All right, now how long can you store canned water? Okay, so that's what I've done. And I even did a water bath on it. I know it sounds crazy, but I went on ahead and did that just for extra safety reasons, okay? So generally speaking, depending on the quality of the packaging and the storage conditions, you can safely and reliably drink canned water for up to 2 years. Now, after this point, it may start to degrade in terms of smell and taste. I use my nose for everything. Okay, whatever I can, whatever I buy, even if I buy canned food, I smell it first. Okay, if it has any kind of a weird scent to it at all, it gets tossed. It's not worth keeping it and eating it and getting sick over. Okay. With proper storage techniques, such as providing cool temperatures and avoiding any exposure to direct sunlight, you can maximize the lifespan of your canned water and ensure it remains safe to consume. I've got mine stored, used to be a bathroom. I told you we bought my grandparents' farm, and the house they lived in as well. So they had their bathroom was actually in the middle of the house, but it was next to the kitchen. And so we started having some problems because there was some rotting, and Phil noticed some leaking issues And so I said, this would be a good time. I'm not crazy about the bathroom being where it is. Why don't we just make a closet out of that? So Phil made me this big walk-in closet where I store my canned foods and other supplies. And what I like about it is it's in the middle of the house, so no sunlight coming in. Only when we flick the switch do we have any kind of light whatsoever in there. So it's the perfect place to store. It's not a basement or anything like that. However, no windows. Okay, so no issues there. There was a window there a long time ago, and so Phil had a room built. That's where my studio is, actually connected to the house. Okay, let's see. Avoiding exposure. Again, that's my weird feeling I have about buying water in maybe at a service station where I've noticed that bottled water has been sitting out there. Not a good thing. Okay, can water get too old to drink? That's a good question right there. Okay, water is a precious resource and an essential part of life, but can water get too old to drink? The answer is yes. Although it's not the water itself that goes bad, but rather the way it's stored or contaminated. Now, when water gets too old to drink, it means that it has been contaminated by bacteria, algae, or other pathogens. Contaminated water can cause serious health risks, including gastrointestinal illness, skin irritation, rashes, ear infections, and even more serious diseases. You can get hepatitis from drinking water that's too old and it's contaminated. That's why in some countries, in parts of Africa and other places, people have gotten hepatitis because they're drinking bad water. Now, it's important to be aware of the signs that your water may have become contaminated so you can avoid these risks. Now, there are several signs that your water may have become contaminated or is simply just plain old too old to drink. These include a strange smell. Again, use your nose. Let your nose be a guide. If there's a strange odor coming from your water, it could be a sign that it's become contaminated with bacteria or other pathogens. Now, murky or cloudy appearance. If your water looks discolored or maybe it's cloudy, this could also be a sign that it has been contaminated with bacteria or other pollutants. Maybe it's developed a strange color. If your water has taken on an unusual hue, such as a yellowish or maybe a greenish hue, this could be indication that it's contaminated as well. Now, green algae growing in it. Algae growth in standing water indicates the overgrowth of microorganisms, which can also lead to contamination of the water supply. That's why, I have a hydroponics garden. And it's in the dining room because that's where the sliding glass window is. So if I notice, I'm always keeping a check on that water. I want to make sure nothing funky is growing in it because I've got lettuce growing in it. So we're eating that. So I've got to make sure that water is good and clean. And as a matter of fact, and we probably don't have to. It's probably over absorption, but sometimes we just take it apart, Phil does, and he just does a complete cleaning in it, and I clean it with bleach water. And then we run more water through it just to make sure we're not growing bleach. Okay, if the water has these little floaty things in it, not a good thing. Floaties in water are usually indicative of bacterial growth, which can lead to contamination if it's left unchecked for too long. Let's go into a commercial break. Man, I can't believe how time flies by. We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to talk about how to store water so it lasts longer. We'll be right back.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring-spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. I do research for you. You're the reason I have this show. I mean, it's all about you. So if you have any ideas for shows, such as this one right here, how to store water and can it get old? Yeah. We're talking about that right now. If you have another subject or another topic you would like for me to do some research on, send an email to donna@donnasedge.com. donna@donnasedge.com. I love research. And I'm doing something useful for you as well. So, if you find something you'd like for me to have a special topic about, I'll be glad to do that for you. Okay, how to store water so it lasts longer. Now, having clean, safe drinking water on hand is essential in any emergency situation. Now, when stored correctly, water can last indefinitely. But how do you store water so it will last as long as possible? Okay, let's talk about this. Use an FDA approved food grade storage container. That's plus right there. Okay, the first step in properly storing water is using an FDA approved food grade storage container. It's important that the container be made of material that won't leach chemicals into the water. So be sure that whatever container you choose is clean and it's free of dirt or debris before filling it with safe drinking water. Extremely important to do that. Okay. See, we are beekeepers, and so everything we do has to be food grade. Okay, like the containers that we actually filter the honey through has to be food grade as well. Everything's got to be food grade. Okay, clean and sanitize your water storage container. Now, once your container is selected and clean, it's time to sanitize it. It can be done by adding a teaspoon of liquid bleach to a quart of water. You should then cover the container tightly and shake it thoroughly, then pour out the solution and let the sanitized container air dry. That's important too. Now, letting the sanitized container air dry before use will help keep any unwanted bacteria from getting into your stored water supply. After air drying, make sure to secure a tight lid on your storage container so no contaminants can get in there over time. I mean, dust is everywhere. I don't care how clean your house is, dust is going to enter. That's just the way it is. So, got to keep it covered. Don't open it all the time, peeking in at it either, okay? I know I'm preaching to my own self there. Okay, use a water filter. Now, with the hydroponic system we have here, I do have a water filter in it. And so, and you got to keep that tested and cleaned out as well. For your air conditioning, you have an air conditioner filter, so it's extremely important you use a water filter. Now, most filters are made of ceramic or activated carbon, which helps clean out dirt particles as well as bacteria and other contaminants. Now, if you have access to a water filter, make sure you use it before storing the water in containers. You can also build your own water filter in under 30 minutes. And if we have time, I'll go on ahead and tell you how to do that as well. And there's a few basic materials and tools to do that with as well. Okay, so remove water wisely. Now, when removing safe water from your storage container, make sure you use a clean device each time. And you need to avoid touching the insides of the container with your hands. Never scoop safe water with your hands. You know what us women do all the time? We use hand creams, we use lotions, we use things like that. Even cleaning out what we have here, it's just better to use gloves. Make sure they're food grade as well. Okay, so all those things are extremely important. Just don't use your hands. Okay, because we have fingernails. Stuff gets inside our fingernails. I mean, just human, on crime scenes. Phil and I love to watch crime shows and stuff like that. And sometimes they find the killer because the person who was being murdered actually scratched, and so they're actually saving information about who killed them because they got the DNA in their fingernails. Best thing ever happened. Okay, we talked about removing the water wisely. Never use your hands to scoop the water. Okay, avoid storing where dangerous substances are stored. So avoid storing your water where chemicals such as gasoline or pesticides are stored. These substances can contaminate the water even when sealed tightly in plastic containers. If you can, store the water out of your garage or shed if you're storing other chemicals there. I just don't want to put it in the garage anyway. We have one. My granddad had it built a long time ago, and it doesn't. It's for one thing, it's not concrete, and another thing, it's just older, and so you can see some rust in it. And this is where we store the lawnmower, all those things. I don't want water in there, even if it is sealed up. I just don't want water in there. Now, it's another thing you need to do is replace every 6 months. So if you're canning your water and you're doing a water bath, you're okay. But if you're just putting water in jars, make sure you put the date on it. That's extremely important. So finally replace your stored drinking water every 6 months to ensure its quality and safety for consumption. It's important to know how long you can safely store your drinking water so don't put yourself at a risk of consuming contaminated liquid. Again, use your nose, okay? It's time to be nosy with your nose. And going ahead, if you smell anything that just smells any kind of weird at all, don't drink it. Use it for something else. Maybe wash clothes, wash your underwear with it or whatever. But anyway, don't drink it, and don't use it for cooking either. So it's important to know how long you can safely store your water so you don't put yourself at risk of consuming contaminated liquid. Generally speaking, replace any stored drinking water every 6 months, as bacteria, again, and other contaminants may accumulate over time, make it unsafe for consumptions. So following these guidelines will help to ensure that your family has access to clean drinking water whenever necessary. Whether you worry about the grid going down or not, we still have to think about these things. I'm going to see if we have time. May have to do this on another segment. And it's how to transform. No, we better wait. This is going to be lengthy, so we won't do it on this particular one. But anyway, again, storing your water. What I like to do, I love canning. I always have. It's just a fun thing to know that you can have food put away for your family in case there's another. Remember 2020? You remember what happened there? There was a problem with supply, and so that was an issue. So anyway, I have put up some water and I have canned it, but I went on ahead and did a water bath with it too. Now, what a water bath does, you need a really high. I have a stock pot. I have several stock pots that I use when I'm canning, and I also have 2 canners. And I didn't can it. I didn't put it in the canner, but I did do the water bath. So what I did is I filled the water up in quart jars. And I made sure that the rings were clean, and I also made sure that the little tops that you seal with, I made sure they were clean. Now this is another thing you want to do in canning for water or whatever you do. You know the little rubber thing that's on the little lids? I like to put those in water, and I like to boil them for a good couple of minutes. And the reason I do that is not necessarily for contamination purposes. I want to make sure I've got a good seal. And especially if you get the cheaper canning lids, go ahead and put them in hot water. You want to boil them a good couple, 3 minutes or so. And you'll have to use prongs for this, okay? Because it's going to be hot water. And so you want to get it directly out of the hot water and put it right on that lid. You want to kind of get as much of the water off of the lid and off of both lids on the jar as well. Then you want to put it on there and go ahead and put that little ring on it. Put it in your water. Let it boil. Oh, by the way, go ahead and fill it up with as many jars as you can, okay? Because you don't want to waste energy on this. If you only do 1 or 2, don't even mess with it. But I want to go ahead and get that stock pot full of jars. And then I'm going to put it up again a good couple of inches, at least an inch, but I like a good couple of inches above that. And then I'm going to put it in the stock pot, good couple of inches of water above the jars, and then I'm going to boil it let it sit, have the water boiling, by the way. It needs to be boiling. And then I'm going to leave it in there for a good 6 minutes or so. You can do a little bit longer if you want to do that. Let it sit in that water. That's just going to give it extra time to pressure. And then when it's all cooled off, take it out, tap the lids, make sure they've been sealed. If it makes a sound, or if it makes a little bubble look, or it looks bubbled up, a little dome, it hasn't sealed. Okay, so those are just some safety issues right there. I want to keep you around. So thank you so much for the email. Any other suggestions, topics on shows, send them on. Okay, I'll be glad to take them. My email address is donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thanks for watching.